Scott. So if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Scott Mathias. I'm a 63-year-old male, domiciled in Noosa, Australia. This is paradise. Here we are here in paradise having this wonderful interview. And I've been a journalist for much of my life, both mainly in electronic medium and radio and television in Australia and New Zealand. So that has trained me very well to articulate the whole thing around veganism and so on and so forth. Health issues have been the reason that I'm here, and that's led to a whole lot of things. Really not a lot else to know, except I'm the author of 3 books and a range of digestive health products, which are products that I use to support myself, my own healing process.
Okay, so for those of, well, I'm sure we can put it in at the end, but can you just tell us some of the name of the books and the products that...
Yeah, so there's without doubt there's a tremendous surge of interest in veganism. What is it? How can I survive without eating animals? What are the benefits to the body? What are the benefits to the planet? Google, for instance, is 300 times fold increase for the number of people searching for veganism and raw vegan. I mean, it's vertical. And that's a really, really wonderful trend to follow. And it's not stopping. The baseline for searching sort of sits at 100, on the basis of hours or whatever it is, and it's just going to go sky high. This is represented by the fact that people are searching for information about how to change their lifestyle. And I guess I was very, very unfortunate in some respects, but most definitely fortunate in the greater respect, to suffer from chronic digestive issues for much of my life. Growing up in New Zealand, massive animal protein consumer, okay? Meat sometimes 3 times a day. All the sorts of things that you would recognize: mince on toast, corn silver side with piccalilli, chops, stews, mashed potatoes, vegetables, steamed puddings, lashings of golden syrup and cream. And it was pretty hectic post-war in the 50s, pretty hectic, because they reckoned if you actually ate more animals that you would benefit the economy. Well, the irony is that there's always a downside, and people are feeling that downside. So the books, Let's Eat Raw, my first book actually was Understanding the Divine Gut and How to Eat Your Way Back to Healthy Life. And then the next book was Let's Eat Raw, published by New Holland Publishing. And the second book was Raw Vegan Meals. They're 2 recipe books. They're available through the Book Depository in the UK, Amazon.com. And they even turned up at the Leicester Vegan Fair last weekend, which I think you guys saw on Facebook as well. And I was really chuffed because one of our customers here, she was at the fair and she saw the books and saw my name, and there they were sitting there, two of them, which is quite amazing.
Okay, and can you describe what prompted you to become vegan? I know that there was the health issues, and how long has it been?
You could probably call me an accidental vegan because, my family were actually involved in the meat business in New Zealand, but my issues with digestive health began at the age of 8, and I began repelling literally against the whole animal protein thing. I would eat food, but animal products, and they would just come straight back up. In those days, it had a rather organic name called spontaneous vomit. Now they call it reflux and acid reflux and things like that, which is really interesting. And back then they would throw you onto a table and fill you up with radioactive barium, and this purple liquid would go through your body, and they would look for things. This is before cameras. This is before cameras up and down the body, and they never found anything, and they continue not to find anything with people who are suffering from what I suffered. Wind the clock forward, broken marriages, relationship issues, all sorts of trauma. Attempted suicides, or not attempted suicides, but pretty close. I nearly lynched myself once, and I say that with a smile on my face when I look back on it. But essentially, when your gut doesn't function, it affects your brain, it affects your mind, it affects every part of your body. So over the years, I developed not only the chronic depression, but thyroid issues, the bloating, the reflux, the heartburn, weight issues. I was 24 kilos more than I am now. That's 48 pounds of butter lashed to your body like a suicide bomber. And what else? Heart issues, high blood pressure, arrhythmia, erratic heartbeat, skin issues, bad psoriasis through my hands and everything, gout in my feet, fibromyalgia and arthritic pain, so just muscle pain. Now, through my research and my ongoing study through the integrative approach or integrative nutritional approach, one basically has a build-up of acidity in the body, and it's a result of the gut not working properly. And 1 o'clock forward even faster, 9 years ago, the reflux nearly killed me. That's what nearly got me. One night of sleep here in Noosa, my contents of my stomach filled my lungs up with liquid, and I was literally drowning as I slept. I was dreaming someone was trying to actually throttle me. I woke out of fear, and I woke with no breath in my body, none at all. It's literally like in the water and being held underwater, was that sort of feeling. Your lungs were full of water and you were nanoseconds away. It was I can only imagine it's the feeling that people have moments before they drown. Is that, okay, what do I do here? How do I get out of the situation? And I share this for what it's worth, because 2 weeks before that event, someone had said to me, well, look, if you're ever having a heart attack, or you're coming across somebody with cardiac arrest or cardiac failure, get them to cough violently, like generate a voluntary cough, you know, let it all out. And what it does, it opens up the thoracic area, because in that nanosecond, I couldn't call out, I couldn't ask for help. No, if someone had run to me and tried to work out what to do, I would have died. And that's the irony of it. So I was in a situation where I totally had to find a solution out of my predicament very, very quickly, which is an interesting position to be in, because not many people are ever faced with that situation, you know. I threw up, my lungs cleared, and I had to keep a towel beside the bed most nights anyway. The bed was usually propped up, but that night I'd slid down the bed for some reason, and I had a hiatal hernia, a complete collapse of the gut muscle, the muscle between the hiatal muscle between the bottom of the esophageal tract and the gut, and this was just open, you know, so it was going to fill up one way or another. And the next morning I managed to get up, and I googled something. So again, I have thanks to Google, because it's marvelous, you know. I put whatever I put in, it gave me the answer. Inability to break down protein malabsorption, and proteolytic enzyme. So I found the green papaya product. Okay, this is the other thing I owe my life to. I owe my life to a green fruit, predominantly, you know, Central America, Hawaii, Thailand, Australia, and what have you. And I got hold of some green papaya powder from India at the time, and I began taking it, and instantly I had a response. Okay. Now, before all of that, I was largely vegetarian, but I never ate eggs. I hate the smell of eggs. Butter just congealed in my veins. I hated that. No dairy products. Couldn't eat meat at all, because it was like putting bricks into a cement mixer, and you know, trying to get a nice smooth slurry, it was an impossibility. And then I'd have this terrible griping. So my body was, on a cellular level, was totally rebelling against the whole animal thing. So that's where it started. And then that drove into the ethos. I then realized that I was a vegan, as someone suggested that was called, which sounds like I come from the planet Vegas or something like that. But I soon realized that I was, for all intents and purposes, a vegan who chose not to eat animal products. And then what happened after that, within a year, all the symptoms that I spoke of had disappeared. I began to lose weight. My luck and good fortune began to change, because when you have a very positive disposition towards self, through self-love and things like that, what happens is that you attract really powerful and positive circumstances to you. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. And I think that's what humanity is going through at the moment, is this whole issue of self-worth and worthiness, because, you know, the propaganda associated with the whole animal consumption thing, and it's all tied into organized belief systems and everything else, education systems, has screwed up humanity to such an extent that okay, we've got paradise here, but not too many, 100 miles or thousands of miles away from here, there's chaos, which is a real shame. What else have you got? What else do you want me to talk about? Because I could talk the arm off the chair, you know that.
Oh no. I mean, the transition. How long would you say that it was that from sort of your meat-eating days to being vegetarian? And
the best way I can answer that is that transition basically is all about just how stuck you are in the notion that you should follow what your parents told you or what you see on the television or read in the newspaper. So I don't watch television. I don't read newspapers, I don't listen to the radio, because none of that, I know that there are conspiracy theorists out there who say, look, it's all coded, and I laugh at them, but actually I think it is all coded. It's coded to get you to consume more rubbish that your body doesn't need, and that your wallet certainly doesn't need as well. So it really comes down to how quick did it happen. I recall the transition to raw vegan very easily, because I just literally woke up one day and I went to the pantry, I cleared everything out, and I had a single focus, and that was just to identify every morsel of food that was going to go into my mouth as being health supporting, health giving, health supporting. And that level of awareness just grew and grew and grew. And that's what I talk about with people now. You develop food awareness. My gut was functioning, the green papaya was still continuing to work. Do I need to take that any longer? Periodically, but not as much as I was doing it before. I guess it took a couple of years, in all honesty. And then the ethos, the whole political activist side of it, probably that can happen instantly, because all of a sudden you wake up and you go, holy smoke, I think I used another word, but holy smoke, this is a shambles, and I think I used another word there. We have been conned. This is fraudulent information that's been conveyed to the populace for such a long time, and I have to do something about it. And then we were literally dragged by the cosmos into the Go Vegan Deli concept, and I had written 2 books at that point. One was the Understanding the Divine Gut book, and the other was the Let's Eat Raw book. And most people basically were asking, so why don't you open up a cafe so that you can do this? And Claire, my partner, and I, we'd both been involved in the food industry over the years, and we sort of knew what was involved, but we didn't realize that it was going to be as hard as this. But that's our service to humanity, and we're driven by this passion. We're driven by this desire. There's not 2 parts of us involved in this. It's just one part of me and Claire involved in actually helping people become more aware of this. There's no separation in our identity. This is our identity. It's our passion. So therefore, our authentic nature and the trueness of who we are emerges because of where we're at. It's not even a belief system. It's not a belief system. It's a way of living. It's a lifestyle that actually impacts greatly on not only the human body, but also the planet. It's pretty profound. But we are the messengers here. We don't have all the answers. I think you've got to have the answers too. You've got to have the answers to yourselves at the end of the day. Don't believe anything I share with you. Go away and sort it out yourself, which is really, really important. And even the choices to remove yourself from animals, the consumption of animals. But I look at it now and it's a barbaric and horrific institution that's just all money driven. These animals are commodities, and they traded. They've got a value on their head. Imagine if human beings or our dogs had all that. Little puppy over there, was a tradable commodity. And there are pups that are tradable commodities through the puppy farms and things like that. But it's changing. It's changing. People are waking up. People are waking up. I reckon if you just hurt an animal, you're hurting your soul profoundly. If you hurt an animal unnecessarily, your soul is impacted, and that's going to put you well behind the 8 ball if you want to evolve at any time at all. I know people who actually preach peace who still eat meat. Now, to me, that's hypocrisy do they know what they're doing? You know, you've probably come across them as well. You just go, what the, do you not get this, you know?
I completely understand. I mean, how have you found family and friends with the big change and the
there's is it Latin or Greek, persona non grata, a person of no name, you know. Yeah, you know, family, as I said, are very traditional meat eaters. Very traditional meat eaters. And vaccine pushers, and, you know, bless them. I've got my life to live, and you've got your lives to live. The detractors have got their lives to live, and at the end of the day you will be answerable by your conscience and by your heart. And if you've ever brought harm to anything on this planet, make good quickly, you know.
So we've spoken a bit about the spirituality side of things, like ingesting animals and stuff like that, it's hypocrisy. Have you noticed anything within yourself physically from obviously healing yourself, but have there been any other changes that you could describe?
I've got no aches or pains in my body. I'm 63 and I'm on no medication. I'm not a member of the prostate club or the diabetes club or the cardiac club. I'm not a member of any of those clubs at all. I might be a member of the slightly sleep deprived club, but nevertheless we do, for instance, get to bed as early as we possibly can, sometimes up at 7, 8 o'clock. And we'll get through and get as much sleep as we possibly can, because there's a tremendous amount of change going on on an energetic level on the planet at the moment. You find people wandering around the streets at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because they can't sleep. So we've started to actually wake up at that hour, and Claire gets up and she does an hour or two of work, and then she comes back to bed. So maybe we're just getting into a very old-fashioned, you know, circadian rhythm here based on the changes that are occurring. But I think the most important thing is I've just got no aches or pains. You know, that's what I say to people. You want to live a healthy, pain-free, productive life. You know, become a vegan. Healthy, pain-free, productive life. You become a useful member of community when you make those sorts of profound choices.
What sort of advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about becoming vegan?
I wouldn't give them any advice at all. I'd just say, listen, if you've heard what I've said, you make up your own mind. Seriously, I mean, I'm not going to beat anybody over the head. You've heard what I've said. Read my books. Be inspired one way or another. Be your own person. You know, in my first book, there's a whole chapter around be your own guru. You know, because I'm not a guru. You know, I don't espouse to know everything. And as I said, don't believe a word I say, but believe your own words, which is particularly important.
And so, a lot of people, I'm sure you have this question all the time, is typically what do you eat being a vegan? Because most people just think it's plain vegetables, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you could describe something, say more for breakfast, for lunch.
I should really ask you to describe the meals that you've eaten in the cafe, and then that would sum it all up. But essentially everything that you see there, from the rainbow colours and salads, the flavours, the you know, the olive oils, apple cider vinegars, lime juice, and things like that. The simplicity, fruit in the morning, and here of course we have an abundance of fruit, which is really nice. And that's the other thing too, is the Anglo method of agriculture has supplanted a method of animal production, of dairy production, of wheat production, sugar production, things like that, onto a land that actually was never designed to grow those crops. We can grow different vegetables here. They're not English vegetables. We've got beautiful tropical fruit, so a good bowl of fruit in the morning is great. We subscribe to the 3/8 principle. The first 8 hours of the day basically is elimination from 4 a.m. to midday. Fruit, the enzymes in fruit actually activate the colon, so that's really, really handy. So that gets the bottom part of your plumbing system working early and detox. And then from midday until 8 p.m. is the ingestion, digestion and absorption time. So most of our food is taken in the afternoon, and in the evening we snack. From 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. is your fasting period. In my health coaching period, hey bro.
You have a friend.
You have a friend, I love it. Some of my coaching clients have, you know, when we first start talking, in the pre stages of a 6-month relationship, will say, can I do a 10-day water fast to kick this off? I said, why do you want to do that? Oh, because I want to cleanse. I said, well, what happens if you actually get into a rhythm, the 3/8 rhythm, which I think Fit for Life coined some years ago, and you're already fasting 56 hours a week? Why don't you use that period more efficiently and more effectively, so that your adrenals get an opportunity to reboot, your lymphatics get an opportunity to drain themselves, your whole nervous system gets an opportunity to settle. Use that more productively. I do not advocate fasting. I know it has its benefits, and I know the advantages of it, but to an already traumatized body, one that's having digestive issues, it further traumatizes the nervous system. And the best thing to do is to less extreme movement. It's like keeping still. Less is the new more. There's a lot of benefit in just being still rather than running around the place thinking you should do things. That's pretty well what did I do. Most foods are dehydrated. I love my vegetable burgers. I could never eat bread, but we found a gluten-free amaranth and quinoa-based bun, which a lady produces locally here, who is a scientist and is a celiac, and she couldn't find the bread, so she actually made the bread that worked for her, and now we use that. So I eat small amounts of food. There's 100% of my volume. Even 5 years ago, be lucky if I'm eating 10%. So I don't eat a lot of food.
Do you find yourself feeling fuller for longer from what you are eating?
Just not having a desire for food. I've started working out more recently with a personal trainer, and I'm finding myself perhaps needing a few more carbs. So I will eat a banana or two before that session, and then I'll come back and do myself a fruit smoothie with some dates in it, which is a complete food. And the simple carbs in that are the sort of things that the body needs, which is really neat. And at lunchtime, salad and falafel wrap or burger, or we're going to put quesadillas on the menu very shortly, and we're going to put a curry up on the menu as well, because people want it. And these are all raw. These are not cooked curries. We do warm things, as you know, but we don't cook the contents. We don't cook the food, which is amazing. That is a very big black bird. He's gone now.
Yeah, that was our little friend who was sitting in the tree.
Is that right? Yeah.
Just trying to think. I think we've pretty much covered most of the questions that we wanted to ask. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
I'll channel my inner self here. Healing is simple. It's the desire to heal which is the most difficult thing. But once you actually make a choice to heal, your subconscious will lead you to places that will support that healing process. It's like you guys turning up here. Now that's part of the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I know you came for your conference, you did that, but we met each other, we like each other, we're exchanging information. You're going to go away, as do a lot of your fellow participants from the course, from the program. They will go away here feeling buoyed and confident that living a vegan lifestyle is actually a lot easier than they imagined. So healing is simple. Being a vegan is so simple. It's ridiculous. There's nothing in the way of change. Nothing, except the brainwashing and the propaganda, and it's the other thing too is just live your life through passionate endeavor, and that's really important. And people say, I don't know why I'm here. I said, well, you volunteered to be here for some reason or another. And the thing I can share with your group is, what are you good at doing and what do you like doing? Write on a list of paper, list on paper what I'm good at doing. Excuse me, and on the other side what I'm like to do. Some of them will gel and come together, and that'll help you determine basically what your passion is all about, And most of the time it is really having the fortitude to share your story, and be an example. Be an example. You can't actually say and do one thing and be another. You've got to actually live your truth. And more now, the two words, authentic and true, they're two powerful words. And without doubt, that does rise out of the whole relationship one has with the world, you know, which includes not killing animals, but includes being a nice person, includes being a good person, without question. You don't have to sit with your legs crossed and chanting Om and lighting incense. All you have to do is be a good person and don't hurt anybody, you know. So that's probably it. I mean, I can't think of anything else that would benefit anybody except just practice being a good person, you know.
Okay, and just one last thing was the books to start off with. Any sort of starter vegan as such, and then the more experienced vegan.
A starter vegan.
A starter pack almost.
I think first of all you've got to make sure that your digestive metabolism is working, okay? Because the body has this inherent memory to either run perfectly, which is its primary memory, or to run suboptimally. So it will actually make adjustments to run poorly. It's like a Mercedes running on low octane petrol. It will run and it'll adjust its internal computers to move down the street from point A to point B. But you imagine basically if you decide to put 95 octane in that Mercedes, you know, let's talk about the human body. And I can't think of any books that were monumentally motivating other than people saying, what do I eat? I think that's probably the biggest thing. So go to Book Depository, you know, and get the Let's Eat Raw book, which is 101. It's about sweet, it's about sour, it's about salty and savory, creamy, crunchy. Those are all the components of actually eating food. And practice, just do one new thing every day, and then after 365 days, you're a changed person. They say about 3 months is about the optimum period for maximum change. And I don't know, options for bread and milk, for instance, you know, so find replacements the whole time. We've got the sunflower seed cracker, we've got the wraps, you know, we've got our nut milks and things like that. It's not about going out and investing thousands of dollars in dehydrator and things like that. And I explain in my books how you can use your oven as a dehydrator initially to get those crackers and those things happening. So you're not perplexed by, oh my God, you know, the Excalibur is $800, $900 Australian or something like that. So yeah, little steps at a time. And don't beat yourself up. You can't make a mistake. Remember, all you have to do is be a good person to yourself, and then you can be a good person to others, and then everything else sort of goes from there. But honestly, apart from a couple of good cookbooks and a bit of motivation, there's really not a lot else I can recommend.
And just for our viewers, can you let us know where we can follow you or the deli? You can let us know your Instagram,
Absolutely.
websites.
Right, so I'm a multi-dimensional, multifaceted entity. I'm sort of not all over the place, but I'm in many places other than one. The social media is particularly important to getting the message out, and Go Vegan Deli is on Instagram. Go Vegan Deli is on Facebook. My own Scott Mathias Raw is on Facebook. And then I have a personal Scott Mathias site as well, which I just basically move media around the place. And that's what we're doing. You're creating media, we're creating a story, and we're just moving media. And the books are available online at my website, scottmathiasraw.com, and we ship all around the world. We ship everything around the world, including the green papaya for gut issues. We ship everywhere around the world, and it's available online as a spray-free product of Australian origin that's non-GMO. So consequently you can trust it because it's what I use ultimately after I went through the Indian stuff that might have contained rat feces, I don't know, but it didn't look particularly wholesome, but it did save my life. So we're talking about a reliable product, which is very, very important. And yeah, you'll never look back. The stuff even kills off cancer, protozoas like malaria, dengue fever, Ross River fever, and they're sort of tropical diseases, parasites. You know, I had a young girl this morning, 22 years old, was just infested with parasites. You know, her tongue was covered in red spots. So she went out with the green papaya, and she'll quietly integrate that into her system, get the acidity levels down, the alkalinity levels up, get a system working more efficiently, and then the papain enzyme in the green papaya will just go and look for it and kill it off. So yeah, I mean, if you're desperate to heal yourself, you'll find a way to find us, you know. All right.